Nuclear weapons, the ultimate manifestation of the weapons of mass destruction. The weapons credited for physically bringing the world to the brink of all in all holocaust, and at the same time, the weapons that have brought all the countries who possess it, whether big or small, on an equal footing. The epitome of power, the destroyer of worlds, the end of everything as we know it. But how did it all start for India? By the time India achieved its independence in 1947, USA had already dropped atom bombs codenamed Little Boy and Fat Man on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Warfare strategies and military strength of countries no longer depended on the number of armed troopers and foot soldiers it had. Those who had the bomb had the power. Or did they? Under the vision of leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru and scientists like Dr. Homi Bhabha, India had always supported the use of nuclear energy not only for peaceful purposes such as energy generation or as sources of fuel, but also in making and using nuclear weapons should the need arise.
It is curious that only about 3 or 4 years ago, people talked rather vaguely about using atomic energy for power purposes. Formerly, the thought that it could be used for civil purposes was a kind of mental adventure. Now it is recognized that it is an economic proposition.
In 1962, India lost to China in the Sino-Indian border conflict, and the need to develop a nuclear program became imminent. Although Lal Bahadur Shastri, who became the Prime Minister of India after Nehru in 1964 and who was a staunch Gandhian, was initially opposed to the idea of nuclearization of India, Dr. Homi Bhabha succeeded in convincing him that the nuclear weapons would be developed along completely peaceful lines. As a result, India's nuclear program officially started in 1967 at the Bhabha Atomic Research Center. Point to be noted here, almost every country that has ever developed nuclear weapons has claimed to do so for maintaining peace. The bombs are supposed to be a deterrent of attack from enemy forces. However, did the bombs really help in maintaining peace? We will look into that in a while. Back to 1967. Indira Gandhi had become our Prime Minister by then, and the nuclear program had already started, but only on paper. Weapons need testing. Computer simulations were not really available during those times. And conducting nuclear tests is also an unofficial manner of telling other countries, hey, we too can burn you to dust now, so beware. China conducted a sum total of 15 nuclear explosions between 1964 and 1974. Indira Gandhi felt that it was as good a time as any to conduct India's first nuclear tests, and conducted they were. 18th May 1974, on the edge of the Thar Desert in Rajasthan, in an underground weapon detonation facility in the city of Pokhran. Do you know what the code name of the tests were? Smiling Buddha. Who names these things? There is something important that needs to be considered here. Although India had essentially chosen to go on a rather non-Gandhian way of building weapons, it was still perceived as a peaceful nation by the world. What with its no first use policy. With the nuclear tests of 1974, India had become the first country outside of the Big Five in the United Nations to have conducted a nuclear test, something that was sure to bring much worldwide resentment. This was one of the major reasons why the Smiling Buddha tests were followed by incessant confirmations by the Indian government that India still rejected the nuclear path, and the tests were, as always, done for peaceful purposes.
When we first embarked on our nuclear program, most industrialized nations were very critical of us. Their disapproval, even hostility, continues. Cooperation is withheld and solemn agreements are lightly set aside. It is clear that in order to meet our growing requirements of energy for agriculture and industry, we must produce more electricity. Our policy is to harness all sources, water, coal, the wind, the sun and the tides, However, as I have said, our science, particularly our nuclear science, is dedicated to development, to achieving freedom from want, and providing the essentials of an honorable life for our masses. I repeat that we have no intention of embarking on any nuclear weapons program. We want, as someone has said, to make the deserts bloom and not to make the world a desert.
20 seconds, 10 seconds, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.